I'm going to talk about Texas quarterback Arch Manning and talk about a few different ways that Texas could potentially use Arch against Georgia. We actually have 5 different ways that Texas can use Arch against Georgia, and we have a few clips of film that hopefully does a good job demonstrating these type of ways to use Arch against Georgia. But before we look at these clips, before we talk about these 5 different points or 5 different keys to use Arch against Georgia, let's talk about Georgia's defense real quick and look at 3 games in particular. Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia Tech, they all had one thing in common: quarterbacks that can run. Ole Miss, they end up beating Georgia. Jackson Dart had 50 yards on the ground with the bum ankle that he injured against Georgia. Still led the team in rushing yards and ended up beating Georgia. Alabama had 41 points, beat Georgia. Jalen Milroe had 117 yards on the ground. Georgia Tech, I know they lost to Georgia this past weekend in eight overtimes, but Haynes King had 110 yards on the ground and 300-plus yards passing, or right over 300 yards passing. So that shows that at times Georgia's defense, there could be some holes, some opportunities to attack with a running quarterback, with a mobile quarterback. So what are the ways that you can use Arch against Georgia? I got 5 ways to talk about it, and then we'll dive into a few clips. The first way, you don't use him at all. You just almost use him as a decoy. You force Georgia to prepare and spend time practicing against that Arch package that you're not going to use. Now, I don't think this is very likely. I think there's probably a scenario that they want to use Arch, but it could definitely be part of the mind game before the game, right? So that would be the first point. You don't use him at all, but you force Georgia to prepare and practice like he's going to be put in. Point number 2. You use him just like you did against Texas A&M. You use him just on the quarterback run stuff, just on the quarterback run packages, just like you did against Texas A&M without really evolving, right? He had, a few plays in against A&M. Maybe he has 4 or 5 plays in against Georgia, and you use him exactly like he did against Texas A&M. So Arch has 16 attempts this season and 130 yards on the ground, not including the sack yards. With the sack yardage, it's like 90-something or something like that. But again, 16 attempts, 130 yards. Of those 16 attempts, 4 of those rushing attempts were 10-plus yards or more with a 67-yard run. So there's explosive ability there that you can use for Arch. You can put Arch in and find a way to, attack Georgia's defense if you think there's a way to attack them with an explosive quarterback. The third way to use Arch against Georgia is you evolve this quarterback run package. You evolve this quarterback run game, and you put a passing game on top of that. So whether it's a fake jet sweep, whether it's a fake to the running back and get the ball out quick, whatever it may be, you evolve. You keep the quarterback special package in there for Arch, but you have a passing game on top of that. Point number 4, which I think would be the most interesting use of Arch, because Arch can do so much. He's so much more than just a running quarterback, right? You use him as your normal quarterback at times. You put him in. Georgia's defense is going to think that there's a special package in. They're going to try to defend the run or try to defend the play action or try to defend some type of passing game that evolves from this special package of Arch. But you just use him as your normal quarterback for a series or 2. Straight drop back pass, right? They're not thinking that that's going to happen. You put him in for more than just a special package. Arch has 8 completions. He's 8 of 18, where the ball is thrown 20 yards or more in the air. There's an explosive ability there when Arch comes in. Quinn has 12 of those type of throws, 12 of those type of completions all season. Arch has 20% of Arch's entire throws. The ball is thrown 20 yards or more downfield. 12% of Quinn's throws, the ball is thrown 20 yards or more downfield. So if you want to take a shot downfield, if you want to attack, if you feel like Arch gives you a good shot, then you can put him in and use him as a normal pass game. And the 5th way that Texas could use Arch is a way I haven't thought of. So Texas fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you think there's a different way that you can use Arch. Again, maybe you don't use him at all. That's point number 1. Or maybe use him just like you did against Texas A&M. Maybe you evolve on that, point number 3, and have some passing game on top of that. Or point number 4, use him as your normal quarterback for a series or 2. Still trying to throw the Georgia defense off because they think he's going to get in and run the ball, and you just use him as your normal quarterback. So Texas fans, I do want to hear from you. How do you want to see Arch? What did I not talk about that you want mentioned? And we're going to look at a few clips here in 1 second. If you haven't seen the channel before, we have put out a Quinn video earlier today talking about the keys for success for Quinn against Georgia's defense. And if you're a Georgia fan, we put the same type of video out talking about keys for success for Beck against Texas's defense. So with that said, let's go ahead and look at 3 or 4 clips of Arch, just showcasing the ability of him dropping straight back and passing, the ability of him running the ball, and then some kind of play action stuff evolving from that quarterback package. So with that said, let's go ahead and look at a few clips of Arch. So we've just got 4 clips that we're going to demonstrate and show the type of plays that we just talked about that different ways that Texas could use Arch. And this is broadcast footage. I do apologize. I do have to slow this down so YouTube doesn't get mad at me, but still does a good enough job getting the point across. So Texas fans, this is the most recent one, the package I'll use against Texas A&M, 4th and 2. Fake here. Arch does a good job getting to the pocket, breaks the tackle, and goes in for a touchdown. This is the most likely way to use him, but you see like this effect. It gets so many eyes on Arch in the backfield, which allows Arch to get outside, right? So again, Texas or Georgia has had some trouble with quarterbacks that can move and quarterbacks that can run. It's a great job by Arch breaking the tackle here. So this is why I think at the very least they're going to use at least a few plays like this, whether it's the red zone, whether it is short yardage situations, at the goal line, whatever it may be. If they think the threat of the quarterback running could be there, they're going to use that. So I think at the very least we see point number 2 that we talked about, where they use him exactly how they used him against Texas A&M, and also the fact that he can have a 67-yard burst like this. Now this is against UTSA, but still makes the guy miss. The DN crashes, makes the guy miss in the open field right there, able to go around him here. So the fact that you have a potential explosive play at the quarterback position from running the ball, I think is attractive there for Texas, right? Now, I could be wrong, and maybe they just want Georgia to have to prepare for him, right? That's something that's definitely a realistic option. I just don't know if I think that that's the case, right? But we'll see. So second point, evolving off the quarterback run game, evolving off just running Arch and using some passing play. So it can be quick play action. This is just a touchdown, little screen to Isaiah Bond. You see a fake run here, gets the defense kind of out of position. I think the running back could go this way. Arch could also keep it here. You see all the backers get out this way, and you dump it off here. So we could see evolve some plays that have evolved. I think Sark said, I read something today that Sark mentioned that they're putting in plays and packages that Georgia hasn't seen on film yet. So maybe we see the Arch Manning package evolve, and you have some plays like this. The ball gets out quick. You use him as a passer, but still within that special package. And the last way that I think you can use Arch is use him as a normal passer. You put him in, and you'd probably have a running back in the backfield just so Georgia thinks that there could be a run game, or you say, screw it, we're going to chunk it deep like he did here. Again, he had 8 completions where the ball was thrown 20 yards or more in the air, and I think less than 100 attempts. I think he has got like 91 attempts. It's a great deep ball, takes a shot, pushes the ball down field. Now, I'm not saying you put him in instead of Quinn. You still use him for packages, whether it's 1, 2 series, whatever it may be. And you kind of try to throw Georgia off a little bit where they think you're putting Arch in to run, but you put him in to be the normal quarterback for a drive. Maybe you have an explosive play downfield. But Texas fans, I want to hear from you. What do you think, or how do you think Texas should use Arch, if at all, against Georgia this upcoming weekend? I still think, Quinn's your main guy. You don't want to get him out of a groove. So I think if you use Arch, you want to use him while facilitating Quinn being in rhythm, being in a groove, so you don't put him out. But again, our first point that we talked about how you use him, they just have to prepare for him, and you don't use him. Point number 2, use him exactly how he was using against A&M. Point number 3, you evolve that special package. Point number 4, you use him as your normal quarterback. And then the last point is up to y'all. I want to hear if there's any other ways that you want to see Arch used against Georgia. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you. We're a big SEC quarterback hub. We talk all things SEC quarterback. So please consider subscribing to the channel. If you like this type of SEC quarterback breakdown, like the video, share. It really helps us grow. And like we mentioned in the beginning of the video, we already have a video out of Quinn Ewers and the 5 or 4 keys that he has to do to beat Georgia. And we do preview Georgia's defense in more detail. I know we just briefly talked about Georgia's defense at the beginning of the video, but we preview Georgia's defense in more detail. We also have a preview video of Carson Beck against Texas defense if you're interested in that, or if you are a Georgia fan. So as always, thanks for watching. Go check out those videos as well if you want to dive into some more SEC content. And keep following us along. We'll see you next time. Peace.